And we are live, hopefully, with a round of applause. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another week, another Thursday, another hour of talking film with the two of us. Well, it wasn't really the two of us last time. We had to ditch Graeme for technical issues. As always, please let me know in the comments whether this is working, whether you can see everyone, whether you can see Graeme. Is that good? Is that bad? Again, let us know. But I'm hoping that everything's working pretty well at the moment so far. So, Graeme, welcome back.
Thank you.
So sorry for ditching you last week, but it was necessary to get through. You've got some lovely pictures at the back. So this is your shed.
This is my shed, as it was last week. I just want to, before we sort of skirt past last week, I need viewers to know that I had no idea that I'd been ditched. So from where I was, we were waiting, and then he said, let me just call Andy quickly." Okay, I'll just hang on, wait and see what happens. I'm sure any minute now I'll get my call. I'll be invited back in. And it wasn't till 15 minutes later that I get a message from Neil Piper going, "They're carrying on without you, right?" So if you heard a breaking sound, that was my heart snapping in two last week.
So you mean you were stood in your dark shed, mic'd up, lights on, any minute?
Yeah.
Any minute.
Just waiting.
Meanwhile, we had hung up, moved on, and off we go. See, I got an email from Andy later that night being like, shame about the stuff, well done, we carried on, etc. Have you spoken to Graeme to check he's okay? And I said, Andy, it's even better than that. Graeme decided to recover from it. He would go on the Sunny16 live stream on Instagram. And what happened there?
Matthew broke it. Matthew Joseph ruined it for everyone.
I checked it because I thought moral support. I ditched him. I better support him. And all I could see was Matthew. There was no audio and no video of Graeme. So for the second night in a row, you were totally ditched. So hopefully we won't have to ditch you today. People are saying it's going well in terms of sound and everything working well. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Well, as I say, welcome back. We've just gone with the two of us. We're not going to try and add guests at the moment until we've gone through an episode without having some kind of car crash. But we are through Skype, through video. Brilliant news. Now, today's going to be fun. So in lieu of a guest, we are going to turn the spotlight on Graeme. And Graeme is going to do a Q&A with us. We've also got the Film Retriever Challenge. So hopefully you guys saw this earlier. Make sure that you have with you a film retriever. And make sure you have some films that are already rolled up. You can either use ones you've exposed or roll up ones unexposed and bank on yourself being able to get them back out. But we will be playing with those later with a bit of a challenge. We're going to be talking some of the industry news that's come out in the last week. And we've also got an ad break, which I keep talking about because it's going to be brilliant and you'll see why when it happens. Okay, let's start with some Q&A for Graeme. So,
actually, before we do, can I just mention just these pictures quickly, because you asked about them and I ignored them. These pictures, these are, I thought I'd decorate my shed in preparation. These are a selection, not all of them because there were quite a lot, but these are a selection of the pictures that people sent in for the print competition we ran in the run to Christmas. We got some awesome stuff come in, so this is just a slim smattering of the things we came in. But people did great with the print stuff. Print your work, people. Print your work and then figure out what to do with it once you've printed it. Because that's the bit where I always struggle.
Maybe this is the new thing. Like, if you are stuck at home and you've got a print and you're just churning out these prints, just send them to Graeme, and he will paper the dark shed.
I have more space to cover. Yeah, absolutely. It's like the gallery in Take Heart. I just need some nice music. Do 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 do.
Oh, actually, while we're out of, I am wearing one of my many film photography T-shirts, Cosmo Photo. Nice astronaut. This is obviously from Steve Dowling's Cosmo Photo. I asked him earlier, I said, is there a discount on at the moment? Because, I'm cheap and I wanted to push it. He said no. And then 10 minutes later, he pinged me saying, now there is. So, seriously, if you want one of these T-shirts, and they are great, April 20 on Cosmo Photo Shop, 15% off, I'm told. So, random shout out there. But, okay then, let's get stuck into it. We've got a few people jumping in, I recognise some names from last week. Hey guys, hey Neil, hey Amin. Looking forward to your jokes again. Ben's here, Sarah Lee's here. Okay, then let's start actually with Shirley's question, because I think after the live shoot we did 2 weeks ago now, and then your photos of Ronald, the 4x5 questions are coming in thick and fast. So Shirley basically said, starting off 4x5 for a noob. So we had a bit of chat about it last time, but you've already showcased 3 or 4 different cameras and different things. Can you just run through like really quick start of how to get stuck into 4x5?
Okay, so I mean, I was in this position, and I think I mentioned this before. 4x5. What put me off was the fear that it was going to be super expensive and really difficult to get into. And then I thought, well, you know, in for a penny, in for some more money. So Ronald was Ronald.
Oh,
here he is.
there he is.
There he is. So Ronald was the first camera I got. Ronald is a monorail camera. I think he's in the 1960s.
And he's quite light, isn't he? He's really flexible.
Oh, God. So I got him out for the first time in ages to play with the other day, and I've forgotten just how heavy he is. He weighs an absolute ton. And because he weighs so much, I mean, he was cheap because he weighs so much, and you can pick up monorail cameras fairly cheaply because they are so heavy. But I didn't use him very much. So then I got, hang on a second, look at this. The great thing about being in my shed. Then I got this. Now, this is my Intrepid.
That looks notably lighter.
This is a lot lighter. This is the Green Meanie. Things like this and the snapshot, and there's sort of various different ways to get in. You know, the chroma cameras. There's various different ways, but it's much easier to get an actual camera now to shoot 4x5 than it ever was for a reasonable price, and get a really good camera as well. So whatever your flavour of camera, whether it's a field camera like the Intrepid or something like the Snapshot or the OG, there's various different ways of getting in. I wouldn't recommend a Ronald. That's not the best way of getting in. Once you've got that,
jumped in, by the way. Amin's jumped in saying, would you classify it as a Ronald rail?
Is there any way to ban people from the stream? So once you've got that, so what else do you need to develop to shoot large format? So film, obviously, you know the film better than I do because you sell the darn stuff. But I've been using FOMA mostly for the last year because it's cheap, and then I got a box for free when I made you give me a box after.
and actually, seriously, on that point, like someone phoned me a couple of days ago at the office and asked about exactly this. They just went to 4x5. Where did they start? And I said the good news is there is a huge amount of 4x5 available. I mean, there's Velvia, there's Ektachrome now available. You've got all the classics like HP5, and then you've got FOMA. And I said, honestly, if you're starting off, start with FOMA because you've got 50 exposures for £38, I think, so you can rattle through quite a lot without feeling like you're losing too much. It's a good enough film that you will still get great results.
Oh, yeah.
And then if after that you want to move on to £20 a shot Velvia, then you can have a bit more confidence that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Dark slide holders, you know, the film holders, they're plentiful. There's loads of them around. I still hope that maybe somebody like Stephen Nathan, you know, who sorry, not Nathan, Jason, who are making the wet plate holders, are going to look into making some new film holders, but they're pretty inexpensive, and you don't need very many to begin with. At least if you've got a couple, you've got 2 shots in each one. They're super easy to load, and developing it, even if you don't have a particular tank. I've talked before about the fact that I use this Patterson orbital tank to develop mine. There are other things as well, like the Mod 54, but you can just develop them in trays in the dark. We were talking about maybe doing this in the future, but if you buy something like Ilford's orthochromatic film, which is they've been selling it for a while as sheet film, and it's just recently become available in 35mm and 120. But you can buy it as sheet film. You can do that under a red light, so you don't even have to develop it in pitch black. So a great film again to practice with, and that's kind of all you need.
The Amin's just written in with a serious one, and he says, when you print, say, to 8x10, how much difference do you really notice and see compared to a 35mm neg printed at 810?
That's a good question. I don't have the ability to enlarge. Hang on, let's swing this around slightly. So that's my enlarger just there. And my enlarger, the most it'll go up to is 6x6. So I don't have any way of making enlarged prints from 4x5 at the moment. So what I mostly do is I either digitize the negatives using my camera, my digital camera, and the light pad, or over the weekend I just made some contact prints. They're super fun. And I was talking to you about this before, Paul. So I made these, had some 8x10 paper, cut it up using a guillotine, and then put it on the thing under my enlarger, popped it for a second. If you don't have an enlarger, this print, I thought, what if you don't have an enlarger, but you do have a 4x5 camera and you still want to try and make contact prints? I just flick the light on and off. It still works. Pretty unscientific,
And it is, because you talk about the sizes, like, I very rarely print to 8x10. It's more common to do 4x5 or 5x7. Obviously, it's a 4x5 print, so I've been taking 35mm negs and printing them to that. Whereas you say you take that and then contact print, no loss of resolution at all. That would be incredible.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the available detail goes, I mean, yeah, the resolution is definitely significantly more. I mean, on an 8x10 print, are you going to see it versus a 120 film? Maybe not so much, but as you get bigger and bigger, you're going to see it more and more. But it's never really been about the detail for me. It's about the experience of using the cameras and the different way of shooting. It is just a different style of photography, and I love it. It's another aspect to the whole thing, and it's just really fun. So
actually, with a supplementary question, Aid and Rachel are stranded in the middle of a lake. Save.
Oh, is that really a question? I mean, obviously, I would do my best to save both of them, but I would feel very bad that I saw Aid's hand reaching out.
You would miss Aid.
I would miss Aid very much, yeah. But
that's fine. And just as validation, one of your co-hosts has popped up in the comments, and it wasn't Aid.
I know where my support's coming from. The lovely Rachel. So yeah, that's why I have to rescue Rachel, because without Rachel, I have literally no fan base.
All right, so Cherylee's replied saying, thanks so much, Graeme. Looking forward to jumping into large format. So Cherylee, any more questions, you can ping Graeme directly on Instagram. Well, which one do you respond to fastest? Instagram, Twitter?
Fastest. I mean, fastest is a relative term. But I mean, probably Instagram's as good a place as any. But yeah, I think that's the main thing I'll say. If you haven't tried 4x5 or 5x4, either of those two, just if you can find a way in that's financially viable for you, just give it a go, because it is really good fun. And it's just it's very different.
And actually, someone's jumped in and said, on that point, really, what would you say a rough starting cost is, start to finish, camera, lens board, first pack? Because I think people get worried and think it's £1,000. It's not that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think, I mean, this is very much ballparking it, but I think if you bought a camera on the cheaper end, so something like the Snapshot, which you can get for under 200 quid, if you hunted around and spent the time, you could get a lens for probably around £100. Lens, the film holder, 20 quid. I mean, you can certainly get set up to shoot 4x5 and develop it at home for well under £500. Well under.
Brilliant.
Even buying a new camera and all of that stuff. So yeah, it doesn't have to be stupid expensive at all. In a way that I think it's the best time to shoot 4x5 now. It's never been better.
That's true, actually. So actually, the other point I think, Cherylee, is obviously for something impartial, Graeme's brilliantly shot on a few different ones, but you've got Intrepid, you've got Chroma cameras, you've got Graeme's homemade cameras in America. Who else is, anyone else that I'm missing? I feel like I'm missing something obvious.
Cameradactyl,
that was it. Ethan. There's a few people who are making them with different technologies, different skills. So again, pinging those through, then that would be really good. A couple of other people have jumped in saying, okay, sounds cheaper than they expected. Cherylee's come back and said her medium format setup was more expensive than that. So they got a lovely camera at the start. Rachel said, yep, her brilliant lens, £125. So a lot of people are saying that sounds surprising, but also is very reassuring. So there we go. You can collect your commission on all those camera makers. Let's move on to a different question. So if people still have more 4x5, then again, ask people Rachel's I can see popping around, who also shoots 4x5 and knows that. So ping her as well in the comments. Moving to a different scale. Someone asked me, what is Graeme's favourite and I can say best memory here, of shooting on APS.
I
Actually, before we dive in,
do.
the APS feels a bit like a bit of an in-joke with film nerds. So just in case anyone doesn't know APS, well, I'll give a bit of a technical description, then you can give an emotional
That
connection.
can do.
So APS was a format developed, I think it was the early 90s or late 80s, that was supposed to supplant 35mm. So all the film manufacturers, and think of them at the time as they were the Apple and the Samsungs fighting out smartphone wars, but doing the same for cameras and film. 35mm was non-proprietary. Everyone had a 35mm camera. How do you get more money from people? You make a new film that needs new film cameras and it's better. Better in this case meant smaller. It meant it was smart, which meant that the camera would know what film was in it by a simple barcode. And it could do things like panoramic by doing a switch. In reality, all that meant was it crops the top and the bottom and made what was smaller even smaller. But that was sort of the APS, and unfortunately, it didn't survive the noughties. Graeme,
So
emotional
sad.
response to APS?
I mean, APS was. I mean, it wasn't just Kodak. There was a coalition of companies. I nearly went with another word there. A coalition of assholes. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It was Kodak have been fantastic over the years of coming up with new film formats, which on the one hand are so user friendly, but on the other hand go, oh, here's less film for the same amount of money. And the APS was the last gasp of that. And yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all.
Because
It was never.
with like 110 cameras are generally much smaller than 35mm, and you know you're getting a small negative, but it was genuinely cheaper to produce. There was a reason. You knew the trade-off and it was fine. APS, I think it winds people up because it was pitched as better than 35mm, which anyone with half a brain knew was a lie, and they were charging a premium for it. A la disc film as well. Disc film was of the same era. Okay then. Did you have
was the
any
worst.
memorable moments of APS?
My memorable moment of APS, I do own an APS camera because I loaded a roll of film into it. One day, maybe I'll finish it. At the end, that is.
What year or decade did you load that film?
It was like post me getting into film stuff because it wasn't age appropriate for the film. It was within the last 5 or 6 years, but it's a camera I bought from a charity shop for £3 and probably overcharged for that. It's a like a waste of time, and I know there are people like Mr. Gutterman from the Negative Positives and Robert from London Camera Project who like to extol the virtues. There are none, and at this point, all the film is super out of date and crap. There's nothing good about them. There was maybe 2 systems that were high-end consumer. There was the Nikon and was it Minolta? Did they make one? I can't remember, but where they were like interchangeable lens cameras. The rest of them were just point and shoots. Yeah, they're garbage. They're the worst.
We're going to have to move on because people are threatening to literally leave the stream if we keep talking APS. Although it's worth pointing out, it's just pinged in. Marina from If We Film, who works in labs in Photographique in Bristol, she says, on the plus side, APS is a massive pain for labs as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was the great thing. All these labs had to buy special equipment just to deal with APS. It's hard to see why Kodak ended up in the straits that they did.
Absolutely.
It has to be said, if anybody's saying how much they love APS film, I've got some rolls in my fridge, like right there. If anybody wants them, feel free.
I mean, the strongest that we've had is someone saying, I have an APS camera. And then people are reminiscing about some of the brands that were involved, but no one is saying hashtag bring back APS.
If anyone wants to see me hit someone with a hammer, I can probably do that too in future.
I mean, people are sort of are saying 110 cameras are nearly as bad, which I just don't agree with, because I feel like, as I say, 110 was sold as a cheaper, worse version, and that's what it is. And actually, I don't know whether you saw. I can't see where it is now. My 1-year-old daughter got hold of my Helena 110 the other day. A worse version of that, and bashed it on the table.
Your daughter, she knows what she's at.
Exactly. So, I mean, it has a dodgy flash, but hopefully that fixed. Okay then. What has been? So you've been Sunny16 co-host for several years. What has been your favourite moment so far?
Oh, jeez. I mean, that is a super hard question because we've got to speak to so many awesome people. And to be honest, and this is going to sound very cliched, but I'm well into the vodka at this point, so that's fine. Um, but getting to catch up with my friends every week is a huge plus for me. I mean, I get to speak to Rachel like twice a week. Who else can say that? Nobody. But one of the real highlights was definitely the trip to Ilford. The day Rachel and I went to Ilford and did the tour around there and got to talk to everybody there and record the stuff for the 100th show. That was something special. That was one of those moments where you step back and go, yeah, cool. Who'd have thought we'd have ended up here with this bullshit that we're doing? So yeah, that was pretty special. But yeah, there's been a lot of awesome moments. We've been lucky to speak to so many amazing people, and you.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely two buckets. There's awesome people, and then I came on.
You.
Exactly. No, that does sound amazing. Oh, again, Rach is, I forget, sorry, Rach, you're in the comments as well. Rach, feel free to chip in as well with your favourite moments. I think a lot of people were asking about the Sunny16 experience because you are all very modest, self-effacing about it. Obviously, I don't know the numbers of downloads. Obviously, you're not quite popular as, Radio 1, I don't know, Top of the Pops, whatever they do.
You're younger than me. What?
I
What
look
the hell?
younger, but actually I'm 79. Yeah, obviously they're not at that level, but for a lot of people, myself included, sort of drifting around the film world and then slotting into this world of podcasts and then everything else that's going on, the revival, and you'd been there. As I say, I think I started listening to you guys around 80 or 90 episodes, and then the 100th one was there. So you have been the weekly introduction to film for a lot of people, so a lot of people are interested in what you guys have been doing. Would you think, who has been the most surprising guest?
Oh God.
Take that however you will.
I'm gonna have to think on that one. The most surprising guest. Ooh. It's hard because a lot of the people we get on, I've had only very limited contact with before. In terms of just not knowing what's going to come out of their mouths next, the Danger Boys are definitely up there. Simon Riddell in particular, but Simon Riddell and David Allen, because you just kind of go into it thinking, well, let's just see what happens over the next hour with this, because he's like Simon more than David, so unpredictable, and so but that's great, it keeps us on our toes. But yeah, I have to say, like, pretty much everybody we've had on, the surprise has been just how great it's been getting to chat to somebody who you've never spoken to before. You've no link with them before, and by the time we finish chatting, you think, oh, these are the best people ever. It's been, I've said all along, the only reason that the Sunny16 podcast exists is a kind of cheap trick for me to lure people into having conversations with us who would never speak to us otherwise, and it works fantastically at that.
Well, don't change that then. I mean, everyone's enjoying it.
Yeah.
In fact, I've just put up Neil's comment. Neil Piper's pinged in and said, Graeme was the first film shooter I had any online interactions with. He started episode 4. I mean, he stopped at
and Neil's got his MA now, so that's thanks to us. Where's our degree?
I think that's true. Fantastic. No, that's brilliant. I'll tell you what we'll do. There's a few questions still to go, and if anyone has any more that they'd like to ask Graeme, ping them through. People were very nice, by the way. Some of the people have mentioned in the comments about your interview with Lucy Ridges that went out today, I think.
Oh, Lucy was an absolute delight. God, I mean, that's the thing. I'd not spoken to Lucy before. Rachel had, but I hadn't. But God, Lucy was fantastic, and the fact that on an almost weekly basis we get people on, and you listen and go, oh God, the things that they're saying is just so inspiring, and just make you think about things in a different way. It's great.
I must say, like, there are a couple of times when I've listened to somebody and how they approach film photography, and it has been genuinely just mind-blowing. And I think that goes also, again, you always joke about how disorganised you are and how badly run everything is, ha ha ha. But
it's not a joke.
Well, now that I sort of work with you in a way on this, you can see It's true. No, but the diversity I think you get is definitely really impressive. Like you'll have some. I haven't listened to Lucy's yet, but the one that sticks out, and again, forgive me, I can't remember her name, but she talks about self-portraits, experimental self-portraits. I'm sure someone in the comments is going to very quickly remind me because I'm embarrassed now, but where she's done a series of self-portraits that are really elaborate, really thought through. And when she was talking about that process, I was like, that I would never have thought of, like dress-up costume, multiple exposure, this on the beach. It was just incredible. And you get that one day, then Ilford the next day, then someone like me the next day, and then you move it on quickly. And, you know, the number of the scope you have across the industry is really impressive. Okay, then.
That was Claire Marie Bailey,
yes.
and she's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, like the point you've raised is, I think what we try and do is just show like how awesome the breadth of people doing amazing stuff is, because it is so diverse. It's incredible, and you can't step a foot forward without tripping over somebody doing something amazing that's something you've never seen before, or a new twist on something you have seen. It's wonderful.
Okay, then we're going to pause a little minute there. I think that's a good thing. And we are going to move to our challenge. So we've seen there's lots of people in the comments. Yep, have a drink just to steady the nerve. So everyone has hopefully a film retriever to hand. Everyone has some either exposed or just generally rolled in films. No leaders.
These are, I was going to say, These are all unexposed films. You have made me wind the leader in on 7 unexposed.
Yeah, Neil was texting me about this earlier, saying, "So do I have to shoot films?" I was like, "Nah, just wind one in." He was like, "What?" So, film retriever. If you don't have a film retriever, so what we're going to do is this. Hang on, I'm going to just recharge my beer. What we're going to do is we are going to set a minute's timer on the screen. Graeme can't see the minute, so I'm just going to shout at him when it's done. The challenge will be who can retrieve as many films as possible in 1 minute. So we want you all to get along as a group, but also to get along with the challenge.
That's going to click.
Exactly. So if you have a film retriever, if you have a bag of 35mm films ready to go, we're going to go, and on the whistle, how many can you do in a minute? Now, before we dive in, 2 things. 1, if you don't have a film retriever...
half a film retriever will do. If you don't have half a film retriever, God bless you.
Brilliant. There are other means of retrieving it. I mean, we all know the bottle opener, but please don't do that with loads of exposed films in life. And also that would be very easy to get through. You can also use I've seen people do a leader to leader thing where they look the emulsion weird. I don't want to do that.
You said you were gonna when you suggested this challenge. You said I'll do that way. You do this way. We'll see which works first.
I'll do the bottle opener way with somebody else's films. If you have a retriever, then we'll give you 2 minutes. So Ben's just pinged saying get going. So go get one. If you don't have a retriever at home, then watch, enjoy, and bet on who wins out of me and Graeme. That might be fun. I'm going to do a demonstration, and hopefully it'll work. Because I also had some people pinging me. I think Emily Jackson, who I've seen, was one, asking, do they really work? Because hers works 1 in 2,973 times. Good question. So, the film retriever is... So, there's 2 things. One is the back bit, and then this bit that slides in and out, and this has the little hooks that are going to catch the leader. The way to do it is, with it pulled in, you insert it all the way into... This is the practice. You insert it all the way in. Oh, there we go.
Full insertion.
Full insertion. And then what you do is you rotate this, and you listen out for a click. Click, thank you. And then when it's clicked, you wind it both back and then push it through. And then... Oh, hello. 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 There we go. That is the theory. Now...
I'm going to say, when we went to Ilford, they use these things at Ilford in the... Because obviously you can send your film to Ilford to be developed. They're actually using these there, so, you know. What higher recommendation?
Actually, that's a point. So if we film, so Marina, if you're still holding and listening, let us know which retriever you use, or do you just use the hammer / tin opener? Actually, that's a point. Marina's going to be really good at this. Okay then. So hopefully everybody has them to go. Neil has a different retriever. Let's just double check. Okay, Ben's bet £10 on Graeme. If
Money wasted.
If anyone would like to take him up on that, then that's a really.
I've got. Which Ben is it? Is it Ben Hips Hoop Film?
Yes.
I got Ben's zine today. Thank you very much, Ben. It's gorgeous. I haven't got it in the shed with me. I should have done. It's a very nice zine. I got one, and you haven't. Unless you have.
All right then. So, anyone's taking up Ben's £10? All right then. And Rachel is pointing out it doesn't work the first time. That is true. In fact, while we're talking, I admit I did practice, because I've got a Metropolis one here with the new fancy plastic canister, and I couldn't get it to work for 5 minutes. So I'm going to put that at the back of the queue. Okay, Shirley's bet on me. Thank you, Shirley. I appreciate it.
That seems like a more sensible bet.
Less money than Ben Graeme, admittedly. Stephen, who has said he's putting his money on Graeme because he's not drinking beer. Stephen, just so you know, Graeme is drinking vodka and has been before we started.
You're welcome.
Rachel is just going to drink until we finish. Right then. Yeah, Stephen's realised it's vodka and has called back to bed. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot do music, so we're not going to do that. But we are about to do a countdown. So, everyone, film retrievers. I'm feeling quite nervous. Film retrievers ready. Film's ready. Go.
Uh-oh. I can't hear the clicks of these things in. One. How many have you done so far?
One.
Okay, it's neck and neck. Oh, this is very exciting.
I can see this one's slipping back. This one's slipping back. Two.
Oh!
Three.
That's a race by you. Oh, God damn it.
So it won't even go in. 1 second. 1 second. Gone. Done.
Oh. How did you get that third one? That third one, I feel, was already out.
It was one where, as soon as the I've pulled so much out of this P30 for Anya. I'm pretty sure that the just exposed a roll.
Oh well, thank goodness it's only Piranha.
All right, so Marina's shouting encouraging comments, but I haven't noticed her actually say how many she did in a minute. So yeah. So let's have a look at the comments as we go through. Is Graeme opening with his teeth?
I'm going to slowly get the rest of mine out now.
Because it looks like a scene from a film where they're trying to crack a safe. Hit Street Film says it's going to be 2 in a minute. Isn't it? Lol. No, it's not. It's going to be 3. Okay.
I still think that third one is a cheat. I think there's some dodgy.
Hang on. We've got somebody claiming something massive. So Neil Piper.
Known liar, Neil Piper.
How many do you think Neil says he did?
Oh, how many do I think Neil says he did? Probably like 40. I mean, like I said, he's known for lying to his teeth, that Neil.
Yeah, I nearly hit the giraffe pan as well, but that one didn't work. He says 5. He said
5.
Did anyone else do it live? Let's have a look. Can't see anything. I mean, Rachel was asking me about how many films she needs to bring, so I'm assuming. Oh no, she did then change it and say she's just going to drink until we finish. Yes, Neil did 5 allegedly.
Allegedly.
Oh, hang on, Joshua Cole. He got 3 and video evidence of it.
That's impressive.
Brilliant. So congratulations, Joshua. We've disqualified Neil just from a lack of trust in the numbers. I mean, the fact that you said you did 40 and then it was 5. I mean, the fact it was Graeme 40. So we've got 2 winners, both of whom are going to win some Colour Plus. Joshua Cole, who got 3 and video evidence, and then Dale Willett, who came in with 4, and then his retriever fell apart. So he was working so fast, his retriever probably exploded in flames. Emily.
Dale Willett's pictures.
Exactly. Emily has just said, I'm not the only one who's slow. Don't worry, Emily. That's it's not that you're slow. Retrievers are like that. And by the way, just so everyone feels better, this is me now trying to do it with the Metropolis. So it's the plastic one, and the problem is it doesn't go in past that level without me.
I'm trying to do Kodachrome because I'm a bit classier than you are, Paul.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Metropolis, but it's no Kodachrome.
That is true. But I actually can't get it in past that certain point, which means that this isn't going to work. Yeah, there's no clip. Oh, it rotated. I won't do this for too long, but it's just worth pointing out.
There you go. I've got all 7 of mine back out now, so you don't owe me money, Paul. You're not having to replace
going to do that.
I thought you might.
So apparently
Look at
Dale.
the weird leader on that. That's a weird leader, isn't it?
That got holes in the middle of it now.
So this is the Kodachrome. What a long doodah, and also holes. But also look, here we go.
See, I'm giving up on the Metropolis. There is movement, but it's not doing what it should do.
Roll of Tudor film there, which is, I guess, but also it's got a hole in it.
Which?
So if anybody in the audience knows why certain films have got holes in them, I would love to know.
Amin's come in. Would you like to know the joke he's made about this challenge?
Honestly, no, but you're going to tell me anyway.
I don't have a retriever. I have a Labrador, and she's fast.
Oh, God. Bye!
Joshua Calder said he's put it on Insta. So, Joshua and Dale, ping me just ping me on something, and we'll catch up afterwards. I'm going to send you some Colour Plus to say thank you for joining in. Graeme, you lost. Congratulations.
That last one, I dispute that last one on so many cases.
There is a reason. Well, go back and watch the video. It's literally live. But Emily, the Metropolis canister, Lomography have started doing something recently, which is commendable. Which is the old canisters are tough to recycle, and they've started using plastic ones that can. I don't know if you can see that. That can clip apart. So these are plastic, not metal, and they can clip apart to be reused. The theory being that a lab could actually just clip it apart, send it back to the Lomography and reuse it. The challenge is they have a very different felt part to the other ones, and it makes it difficult for the retriever to slide in. But anyway, there we go. All right then, let's move it on up. I think now is a good time as any for the ad break. Should we have an ad break?
Oh yes, please. Who are we promoting this week? Is it Beds or Squarespace?
You're right. So everything's really Squarespace, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Squarespace or Lisa mattresses.
It always confuses me slightly why Squarespace would advertise on podcasts that literally aren't visual. But I mean, they must know what they're doing. All right then. No, obviously we are on our 2.5 episode. The money is flooding in from various sponsors.
So much money.
Almost too much.
So
we've had to turn down quite a lot of the big names who are looking to promote with us. And we just have this one very premium, expensive advert that is advertising fitness. So with gyms struggling at the moment, etc., if one person has risen above it all with an advert, are we ready? You won't be able to see this, by the way, Graeme, unless you go on.
Oh, good.
So
I'm not going to do that.
And there we go. Thank you, Marina, for funding the show, for allowing Graeme to decorate his shed. And I hope everyone enjoyed that. You might have seen it before. It's worth watching over and over again. So well done, Marina. We're looking forward. I mean, that was like the advert for the series of workouts that you're going to do. We're looking forward to the DVD. Well, actually, VHS coming out presumably because it's 80s. Also, I'm not sure whether Marina was alive in the 80s, so she's now referencing a period that for many of us is actually relevant, but everyone in the comments love you as well. So hopefully each week we'll be able to have some kind of ad break that is relevant for you guys and funds the show. Okay, Graeme, before we go back to some more of the Q&As, I said to you last week when Andy was coming on that we should do a feature where, with any guest that comes on, we go, how well do you know X? Like, for Andy, how well do you know Kodak? Which was the plan last week until you turn up for the second part of the show.
I resent that phrasing.
And even though I said that to you, and even though I then said you're basically the guest for this show, you somehow didn't see this section coming.
No.
Graeme,
no.
How well do you know the Sunny16 podcast?
Very well.
I have 5 questions.
I don't pay much attention. 5 questions. Okay.
5 questions.
Are they multiple choice?
No. Rachel's in the comments, so she will be able to play along as well. Or this is where she goes a bit quiet and goes for a cup of tea because she doesn't want to throw it out there. We're going to start easy, and then it's going to get quite messy. Okay. The first question, the warm-up question. Which episode did you release this week? The number.
196.
Hang on. Correct. Let me do a ding triangle.
I wish I could find my bell. Honestly, there's a bell somewhere in this shed and I cannot find it. It's not even a very big shed.
A massive bell.
It's a massive bell. Oh.
So well done.
Thanks. You keep talking. I'm still looking for my bell. I'll stop looking for my bell.
Name all 3 members of your
of the host.
Christmas voice choir.
Oh, that's easy. That would, of course, be Hamish McGill, the Scottish host of 35 MMC, Emily from Emulsive, and Bellamy Hunt of Japan Camera Hunter.
Correct. Okay, you're on 2 out of 2.
Oh.
The next 3 questions all relate to episode 1. Question 1.
That's the best one, incidentally. If anyone wants to know which is our best episode, it's definitely episode 1.
Question 1. When was episode 1 of Sunny16's released?
That was, June. Oh, God, it's been so long. I know it's going to be 4 years. So June 2016? That's got to be close enough, right?
Correct! Oh, I've got the triangle for the last one. And then I'll give you a triangle for the last one. Hang on a sec. There we go. So you got 3 out of 3. This is where it gets slightly trickier. What was the title of episode 1?
Okay, hang on.
Rachel has preempted that entire question and has got most of it right.
Okay. Oh God. It was a great title, which I know was really good for selling the fact that it was a photography-based podcast.
Exactly, it's nothing to do with that.
And I know it was something to do with grandmothers. Was it?
I'm gonna have to rush you.
Oh God, I can't remember. I know it was definitely grandmother based because I have this theory.
You run out of time. It is no such thing as a free grandma.
Oh my God, that's what I thought it was, Buzz. Yeah, that's because I have this theory and it's probably like the theory of evolution, it's probably just true, where any roll of found film you come across, if you buy a camera and it has some film still left in it, if you develop that film, you will find a picture of somebody's grandmother on it. I stand by
I heard
that.
you say this theory before, but not on that episode, so that's a common theory we'll have. Hilary Clark, by the way, absolutely nailed that. Got it in one. Rachel went with the slightly more morbid, everybody has a dead grandma. Which we're not going to go near.
To be fair, she's 100% right.
She's also correct. And then the final question. So you're on 3 out of 4.
I'm feeling pretty good about this score already. That's better than I expected.
According to the description on Podbean, name one thing that you discussed during this episode.
Okay. I think, oh God, the person doing the descriptions for the episodes was being super lazy at that point. But I think we talked about, I think I might have torn the Lomo constructor in you arsehole. Or I might have talked about my modifications to the Veronica, one of those things, possibly.
And I'm afraid bicycle horn. The things you discussed were how not to pinhole, the joys
that was you.
The joys of the Pentax Auto 110, and modding old lenses.
Oh, God damn it. I'm sure that my pinhole chat was definitely about the Veronica. I just didn't go into enough detail.
So you scored 3 out of 5 on how well do you know Sunny16, which has set the bar for future guests.
It's only been 4 years.
Hang on. Let's do party noise. Oh, that was a bit patronisingly empty. That's a quarantine party noise. One person alone in a flat, which is what we have. Okay,
it's the appropriate
we've got
party.
sort of 15 minutes left. The other thing that we wanted to make sure we cover, and then if they have time, we'll do any more of the Q&As for you. We're going to start with some of the news. So Ilford news. So I've had quite a few emails, calls to the office about this week. I've just popped up on the screen the announcement. So Ilford have announced on Monday, I think it was, that due to the C word, which we don't mention in this show. What's the C word, Graeme?
Hang on.
Cross process.
Cross process. Yeah. I think I got it wrong last week.
There are several wrong options that would be technically correct, but not appropriate. Ilford have announced that they have temporarily shut down their factory. That led to a lot of concern, questions. Sadly, no panic buying, but you lived the day. About Ilford films. I just wanted to pick this up because a lot of people, as I say, have been talking about it. I've been talking quite a lot to Ilford across this week about various things, including this. The good news is this isn't them shutting down the UK total office or the distribution centre. The background is Ilford make all of their films in Mobley, which, as you said, you guys have visited. I went up to as well in November. Amazing plant, incredible, and you get to see these little film sharks with their little leaders up, whizzing around all over the place. They have closed the factory in the production of film, but they still have their depot, their warehouse open. They are still dispatching orders to retailers like ourselves. The reason that they're doing this is, first of all, for the safety of their workers. So again, obviously, huge applause to Ilford for taking that step. There are many big retailers and organisations who are not making those choices. Ilford have proactively said it's not the right thing for our people to come in and make film. On the flip side, or on the positive side, they had also stockpiled quite a lot of film, and I think 2 things have probably happened. One is they were probably preparing for Brexit. This is all theory now. We might try and speak to Ilford and substantiate it. And secondly, they obviously have a huge... They run their global market from the UK. China sales were obviously, as the C word, came through the world. China sales got hit. Some of the other parts of the world got hit with film sales, and they probably built up a bit of stock. The reality is, what they said to me is they have a load of stock still available. In fact, we're going to run a promotion on some stuff at the weekend. Watch an eye out for that. And this is not the end of Ilford. I had some people phoning up saying, is this the last time they'll make FP4? No. No, they will come back. They will make people, and they are. I mean, you've met them, right? They are not a daft organisation.
No, they're fabulous, and they're not going anywhere. I have a question actually, Paul. I mean, it's great that you confirmed that it's not going to affect the Ilford stocks. They've got a good supply. Is it going to affect stocks of Neopan Across 100?
What, the film that is made in the UK in black and white, not by Ilford?
Yeah, that question was unrelated. That was just another question.
I mean, we'd have to go and ask the other factory in the UK that makes black and white film.
Yeah. Sorry, yes. Oh, yeah.
Which we all know. I mean, we all know it.
It's my second favourite UK black and white film developer. Yeah, my second favourite.
Definitely not my first. So that's the first piece of news, and the good news is it's a bit of not news for us. And again, the other important thing to say is not only that Ilford doing that in terms of the health, but also thanks to the government support, the workers are also protected. Their jobs are safe. What they are now at home with their families, looking after everyone. It's weird to say it. It's good news in the context. Okay, let's move on to something that we all know and love. We love new films and Lomography. Lomography have not let a C word get in the way of a product launch. So
they're known for that. They never, not just before now, like before that, they would never let a C word stop them from doing their thing.
I'm not even sure what we're talking about anymore, but yes.
No, you started it.
Yeah, I did. It's going to run. So you'll have seen this maybe on Hamish's 35mmC that came. He was one of the testers, and he was permitted a few days ago to post, in fact last week I think, about the Fantome Kino. So this is the next in their Kino range after Berlin, after Potsdam. It's black and white. It's ISO 8. It also, from the photos Hamish has taken and the ones I've popped a couple on the side here as well, you can see, it is super contrasty. It is super dirty, not in a bad way, in a really murky way. It is not a huge amount of distinction I can see there.
I love, can I just say, I love these descriptive terms that you're using. It's really contrasty, dirty, not in a bad way, really murky, a real lack of distinction. Because these are the things that I look for when I'm looking for super slow, murky, and a lack of distinction. That's ticking all the boxes for me, Paul.
So I haven't told you this, Graeme, but Lomography are coming on the show next week.
were coming on the show next week.
Maybe were. I'll send them episode 1 instead of 1 to help them prepare and say, don't worry, we'll sort out the text. No, they are going to come on hopefully next week for a Q&A. We're going to do I haven't got the actual person who's going to come yet, but it's going to be one of their organisation. We'll do how well do they know Lomography. It could be the last time we have a professional relationship with them. It'll ruin Analog Wonderland, but never mind. It's for the greater good. No, this film, I mean, you've picked up from my description. I haven't shot it yet. I've seen the samples. Some of the sample photos look incredible from that aspect of high contrast and for a very specific look. This clearly isn't going to be an HB5. This clearly isn't going to be a T-Max. This is not that type of film. If you look at Hamish's photos again, he almost learns as he goes through it as to what's going to work really well, and it is those things with a really high contrast. I mean, the reality is until we see more people out with it, it's going to be hard to know. Now I know that they have they've released it on pre-release, so you can go on the Lomography website now and pre-order. We've been told, so Analog Wonderland will get it in June, which I'll assume is true probably around the world. 35mm at the moment. You know, Lomography's history is that after a certain amount of time, or pretty fast if it's a good one, then they roll it out in medium format. And it very much is. And also the other thing is they're asking for people to volunteer as testers as well. So there's clearly some R&D still going on with this as well. I think the interesting thing is, in the context of the world at the moment, they really wanted to make sure that they weren't, they were a positive force in that, and that they weren't going to stop their innovation. Because I think when all companies look at something like this and say there are likely to be cash flow implications, sales drops, whatever it is, your instinct is to tighten everything up and not release new things, not take any risks. And Lomography have gone the other way and they said, sod it, we know that this is probably the worst time ever to launch something, but it's better to do it now when we were nearly ready anyway, and people can enjoy it, than sit on it and stress about it, and then it comes out a bit later. So, I mean, honestly, I realise my description may not be in the press release. But people asking how they test, there's a link on. I definitely saw it on their social media, but also on their website. There should be a link to apply for tester. Sorry, Graeme, you were about to ask.
No, I was going to say, because I mean, I think it's worth talking about some of the advantages of. What did you say the ISO was for this film? 8. So, I mean, like ISO 8 means that you can do longer exposure stuff in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
There's loads of fun stuff. The super low ISO stuff, it tends to be copy film, doesn't it? That tends to be the. I mean, this isn't a newly developed film that Ilford are producing. This is the film that they got from somewhere. Lomography, sorry. That they got from somewhere. They tend to be copy films because that's why you would have that. But I think as it goes on and people try it with different developers and different setups, you're going to see some probably pretty cool results from it. I haven't seen anything yet. From the pictures that are out there, what does it seem to be lending itself towards?
It definitely is things that are big and brash and don't require a load of subtlety in the gradient. So portraits where it is somebody against a very dark background, or like they've got double exposures going on. I mean, again, on the Lomography website, there are already product samples. Actually, we've put them up as well on our site for when it comes. You can see some sample shots that Lomography have released, and the testers will hopefully build this up. And I'm interested in the comments. People there's already a split between people saying move on and people who are saying it looks fun to try. I mean, that is Lomography, and we love them for it, because there are people who create these films that are reliable and you know what you're getting, and there are people who create Lomography Purple. At the same point, they've created Metropolis, which is actually more of a reliable film, but with a very different look. So is it going to be a film for everyone? No. Is it going to be a great addition? I think so. I think it'll be fun. And as you say, low ISO, middle of summer, high sun, brilliant. Let's go for a 20-second exposure. Let's do long exposure trails in midday.
Yeah.
You never normally do. Without huge crazy ND filters. So it's definitely going to be fun. Sign up for testers, look forward to it. But again, that's something that's come out. And again, what I'd say as well is, apart from the film itself, I think the mentality of, sod the wide. Are you taking a photo now?
I'm just checking it's still, yeah. The shutter on this is a little bit janky. Sorry. Carry on.
That's okay. Honestly, I was wrapping up that bit. It's fine. Okay, that's all the news. Now we've got a couple of minutes left. Does anyone have any last questions for Graeme? Graeme, thank you for being a guest on this show.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Paul.
Hey, at least you've lasted an hour. All right.
I know.
So,
yes, and it's not often that I get to say that. So,
well, not so far. In fairness, I'd say. I'm just pleased that we seem to have made it all the way through relatively technically unscathed. So as I say, next week we are hoping to have Lomography along. What we'll do is we'll have a Q&A for them. So again, ping us throughout the week with any questions you'd really like to put to Lomography. Come in at the same time. You'll be able to ask them in the comments as we've done today and interact. We will also don't tell them, we're going to do a section about how well do they know Lomography. We're going to think up a new challenge. And also, hopefully, Marina will have released a new advert, maybe, that she'll pay millions of dollars for us to plug on this show, or something else we'll do as a fun ad. If anyone would like to give us any feedback about how we're doing or not, then let us know. What's that? And subscribe below. What do the YouTube people do? They always point to the subscribe button.
They point behind them. Yeah, you got it. They point behind them and they say, "Come to the door."
You're the one who's been an influencer for a lot longer than me. Is it even this way? Is it this way? Subscribe now. Just press the button. Graeme, I think you need to do it. I think you need to do it on your side. Other way.
Oh, press that button.
Yes,
press all the buttons.
Whatever. No, hopefully you've enjoyed it. We're on to the last minute, so thanks so much everyone.
You can go soon.
Hope you enjoyed it. We have had a wonderful time, and roll on next week. Should we end with more applause?
Yes.
We haven't used DJ air horn and glockenspiel. Which do you think
we'll
end with?
Air horn. I want pa 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 pa. Yes!
And we're out.